Merdeka! 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 Merdeka!
Persekutuan Tanah Melayu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome again to another live stream from the channel The Muslim Apologist. I'm your host, MENJ. And today is a day of celebration in Malaysia. 65 years ago, we declared our independence from British colonialism, from Christian influence, the rejection of British imperialism, and the declaration of the new state of, well, back then Malaya. Okay, Malaysia has not been established yet, but basically the peninsula, the Malay states that form Malaya, declared its independence from British rule. And the British came here back in the 1700s, and they colonized us. They they didn't mistreat us too badly, I would say, because they we to a certain degree we need to actually thank the British, because they actually established you could say a sort of a unified federal system, and they built the infrastructure. They streamlined the education system and etc. But of course, you need to keep in mind that they did this for their own benefit, because they do not want the natives to riot and to cause disturbances while they, how would I put it, they take our resources away, okay? Especially the tin mining, the rubber, and many natural resources that we in the peninsula have. They took these resources, these natural resources, and brought it back to England. Okay, so before I continue, as usual, I will play my brand intro. So stay tuned after this. So yes, I'm back again, and yes, today it's the 65th anniversary of Malaysia's independence from British rule. And this morning I did get to see the parts of the parade live on television. After 2 years of COVID, we did not have any public display of our celebration for this historic moment 65 years ago. So today is actually a history in itself, because after 2 years of having lockdowns and having to not be able to mingle in public, we finally managed to organized this parade back at the Dataran Merdeka, or the Merdeka Square in downtown KL, Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. And it was a sight to behold. And I actually wished I was there, but yeah, I mean, from what I heard, the crowds were aplenty, and I should have left if I really wanted to be there, then I should have left the house at around 5, but I did not. By the time I woke up, it was too late. I just had to watch it on television. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the parade was spectacular. I mean, it's pretty much the usual deal. It's just that after 2 years of lockdowns, it's a historic moment in itself. And yeah, I guess since we are on the topic of independence, I guess I should be talking about the history of Malaysia, or Malaya, okay, British Malaya, before independence, and how Malaya got its independence, right? So, but anyway, before that, I think I'm going to share the comments. I see some people here. There are actually 7 people right now. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, let me check the comments. Oh, okay. Danny Wise Gaming. Waalaikum salam warahmatullah. Yes. Oh, Claire's here too. Happy Independence Day. Yes, thank you, Claire. Right. Okay, let me see now. My name is not Minch, all right? My name is MENJ. I mean, how many times do I need to repeat this? Okay. So anyway, yeah. So going back to the topic, yes. You get this sense of patriotism when you hear the national anthem being played, during the parade. And yes, patriotism. There's nothing wrong with patriotism in Islam. We believe that being a patriot for your nation, for the land of your birth, or the land you pledge your allegiance to. Because technically speaking, I wasn't born here, right? I mean, come on, I have a U.S. passport, but Malaysia is my home, and I am a citizen of Malaysia. So I bear allegiance to this country. My ancestors came from this region, and it has been so for the past 2, 3 generations. Okay, I'm a fourth generation Malaysian, descended uh, from a lineage that came from Java Island, okay, which is now part of Indonesia. So um, I don't know where my ancestry is before that. So you know, prior to that, so I'm pretty sure my ancestors have been in the region for a very very long time. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing wrong with patriotism. And Islam, it acknowledges, the Quran acknowledges that God created various nations and tribes so that you know we may know and recognize and respect one another. You don't get that in the Bible, because take a look at Numbers 31. Oh, the Christians are going to be furious when I mention Numbers 31, I'm sure. But let them. Okay. So, Claire, yes. The Quran acknowledges the existence of tribes and nations, unlike liberalism. Yep, exactly. So, if you ask me, liberalism is actually part of the colonialist project, because it's actually a colonization of the mind. It teaches you, or it forces, either it teaches you, or it forces you, or it persuades you to cast away traditionalist values of the family unit, of coming under a social order which preserves, uh, as I mentioned in my opening statement, against Apusi. Okay, life, lineage, wealth. What were the other 2 points? I've forgotten. Okay, so yeah. So basically, I believe that Makosid Sharia does ensure that you swear allegiance and pledge loyalty to the nation or the land of your birth, without disregard for the principles of the religion itself. In fact, it's part of the deed. Okay, and that's the beauty of Islam, because you don't get to see that in the Bible. Okay, the Bible is really incomplete incomplete and tribalist in so many aspects, and it does not have the same worldview as the Quran, which is all encompassing and conciliatory and recognizes, the need for nations to know one another. You don't see that in the Bible. Okay, in the Bible, it's all about conquering one another and imposing your certain set of beliefs on the other. Okay, so that's where the weakness of the Bible is. Okay, and yeah. So yes, what was I saying? I was saying that I wanted to share with you the history of Malaya. Right. So um, before the British came to Malaya, we had the Dutch colonizing us. And before the Dutch came here to colonize us, we had the Portuguese who came to Malacca, the Malacca, as Westerners would pronounce it, and they conquered the city-state of Malacca, and destroyed the Sultanate. That's the Malacca Sultanate. Okay, and yeah. So, and before that, before all these colonialists came to the region, Islam reigned supreme throughout the lands here, and we achieved peace. We achieved a greatness unlike any other nation, in the world back in that time. In fact, it was on par with the caliphates. Even though Malacca was not subject of or a client state of any caliphate. I believe that in history, the Sultan of Malacca had sent ambassadors to the Ottomans, and the Ottomans acknowledged the independence and sovereignty of the Malacca Sultanate. Okay. And the port of Malacca was a well-known entry port, and many people, many nations from all over the world came to Malacca to trade. We have Chinese traders, we have Arab traders, we have Indian traders, we even had European traders. I think the European traders were actually rare and far and few in between. Okay, which is why when the Portuguese first came, okay, they were regarded as a curiosity. Okay, and unfortunately, the Portuguese saw Malacca as an opportunity to spread the three G's. Okay, God, Go, and Gospel. Okay, so they wanted these three. This was the three principles that motivated them to conquer Malacca. Okay, then the fall of Malacca happened. Alfonso de Albuquerque, he ordered the invasion of Malacca, and unfortunately, with 1,000 troops, they won. They won and they took over Malacca. And the Sultan of Malacca, the last Sultan of Malacca, had to flee his city-state and went down south, where eventually they formed the Sultanate of Johor. But the Sultanate of Johor was never did achieve the same power and influence as Malacca. So whenever Malaysians they look upon history, we will always say that the Malacca Sultanate was our greatness. Okay, was our greatness and was the epitome of Malay civilization. Okay, we will never look at any other history before or after or subsequent to the Malacca Sultanate, because there were many other sultanates after Malacca's fall, but it was never the same thing. It never regained the same um, influence and power as Malacca did. And if anyone were to ask me uh, what I would wish for Malaysia in the future, I would say that I wish for Malaysia to go back to the days of the Malacca Sultanate, because I believe that the Malacca Sultanate was the best example as an Islamic power in this region, especially. Okay. So as I mentioned in my debate in Pusi, each Muslim nation has different approaches to Islam. The Muslims in Southeast Asia are going to be very different from the Muslims in China. The Muslims in China are going to be very different in worldview and approach to the region from the Muslims in India. The Muslims in India are always going to be very different from the Muslims in Africa. The Muslims in Africa are going to be very different from the Muslims in Europe, in America, in the United States, in Latin America, in the Middle East. Definitely, it's always going to be different. And Muslims all over the world um, are going to be, distinct from one another, and you cannot lump every single Muslim, I mean Muslims around the world, you cannot lump them into one single monolithic, viewpoint, because each of us are going to be very different. We have different cultures, we have different languages, we have different understandings of religion. Our situations are also going to be different. The only thing that unites us is basically La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Okay, no worship except, basically there is no God except for the one true God of Abraham, and that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the servant and messenger of God. So this is the only thing that unites us. Other than that, it's going to be very different. Okay. So let me check the comment section. I think there's a brother here. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Ya, selamat Merdeka. Ya, selamat menyambut hari kemerdekaan. Okay. Right. So I hope there are Malaysians watching this. Well, for the rest of the stream, I'm afraid I'm going to have to speak in English, but I don't mind speaking in Malay once in a while, because it's Merdeka after all. Why am I speaking in English, right? But unfortunately, well, I have an international audience, and if I speak in Malay, I'm just going to shun them away. So I don't want to, or be seen as shunning them. So I don't want to do that. I want Muslims all over the world to understand our Independence Day as well. So yeah, so where was I just now? Yeah, I was talking about the colonialism of Malaya, right? So the British came here in a subsequent series of as the last in a subsequent in a previous series of colonialists that came to the region. So we had the Portuguese, and then the Dutch came. The Dutch came. They were at war with the Portuguese. Will you believe it? Christians fighting each other, and they say that they are a religion of peace. Oh, sorry, they think that they are a religion of love. Christians killing Christians. Oh wow, wonderful. See, so the Dutch came to the region. They made a blockade of Malacca, the Malacca port, which was the Portuguese Malacca, by the way. And then with the help of the locals, they conquered Portuguese Malacca, and they turned it into Dutch Malacca. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, they destroyed, because at this particular time, the Dutch were Protestants and the Portuguese were Catholic. So of course they hated each other. Okay, so when the Dutch controlled Portugal, okay, sorry, when the Dutch controlled Portuguese Malacca, they brought down all the Catholic institutions, and they replaced it with the reformist Protestant ones. Look at that. Christians killing Christians and conquering each other. Yeah, religion of love, my ass, right? So there you go. Yeah, religion of love, killing each other. Oh yeah. So the Dutch conquered Malacca, and they ruled Malacca for another 200 years, I think. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Portuguese ruled Malacca for about 100 years, and after the Dutch defeated the Portuguese, they ruled Malacca for another 200 years, I think, or was it another 100 years? I don't remember. And then the British came. So the British, how the British came to this region was a bit sneakier than the other two, because the other two came here with basically an army, right? But the British came here as traders, even though they have weapons and such, but they don't try to, conquer. They don't try to conquer the lands directly. Okay, they negotiated with the sultans, because, as I mentioned earlier, the sultanates were still around. Okay, so after the Malacca sultanate fell, there was the Johor Sultanate, there was the Terengganu Sultanate, there was the Kelantan Sultanate. Okay, and then there was the let me see now, there was the Kedah Sultanate, there was the Perak Sultanate, so many sultanates. Okay, previously they were all under the influence and under the rule of Malacca, but no thanks to the bloody Portuguese, everything just fell and broke up. Okay, the Portuguese were only interested in Malacca, so they didn't spread their influence beyond Malacca. Okay, fortunately for us, because if they had done the same way as the Spanish did to the Philippines, then I think things would have been very, very different. Okay, unfortunately. Okay, so going back to the British colonization of this region, okay, they came here as traders. They had an army, but it was a very small. They had a small armed force, I would say, but it's not really an army as it was with the Dutch and the Portuguese. So yeah, so the British had secret dealings with the sultans in these many states that exist in that time. So they negotiated with the Sultan of Perak, because the Sultan of Perak at the time had a civil war. Yes, he had a civil war with I think it was one of his ministers or with his brother. I don't remember. And the British came and said, "Oh, look, we're going to help you defeat your brother or the other. We're going to help you defeat the other guy, but in return, you must let us trade in your state." And yes, the what we now know as the Pangkor Agreement, okay, or in Malay, the Perjanjian Pangkor, yes, was signed. This agreement, this Pangkor Agreement. Pangkor, by the way, is an island, okay, Pangkor Island, okay. So it was called the agreement was called the Pangkor Agreement or Perjanjian Pangkor, okay. So this Perjanjian Pangkor of the Pangkor Agreement was the start of British influence and colonialism in this region. So they made agreements with the Sultan of Perak. Then they went to Kedah. They had an agreement with the Sultan of Kedah, to the extent that I'm actually cutting. I'm paraphrasing and cutting out a lot of the history, right? But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what happened, right? So in Kedah, they used the services of a privateer by the name of Francis Light, who was the representative of the British East India Company. Okay, so Francis Light came to the Sultan of Kedah. The Sultan of Kedah had problems trying to defend his borders against the Siamese, okay, the Thais. The Thais were invading his state. So the Sultan was desperate. The Sultan of Kedah was desperate to, to defend himself, to defend his state from the invasion of the Thais, okay, or Siamese, okay. There was no Thailand at the time. It was called Siam, right? So Francis Light made an agreement with with the Sultan, saying that, okay, I will give you arms and an army to help you defend your borders and to prevent the Siamese from conquering your state. But in return, you must give me the island of Penang. Okay, and unfortunately, that was what the Sultan of Kedah agreed to do. So there you go. More influence, more British colonialism. Okay, and then in the state of Johor down south, there was an inheritance dispute between a prince. I think it was Tengku Hussein. I think was his name, and another prince who wanted from a different mother who wanted the Johor throne. And then we have an official from the British office by the name of Stamford Raffles, who came to the other guy, the Tengku Hussein, and told him that he will help him get the throne if he is given the island of Singapore. Okay, and unfortunately, the Sultan was stupid enough to agree to this deal. And voila, there you go. The British had Singapore. Okay, and this occurred throughout the peninsula. Okay, so this is what the British did. Okay, they are very sneaky fellas. Okay, they are much sneakier than the Portuguese and the Dutch, because when it came to the Portuguese and the Dutch, all you need to do is to actually kill them with weapons. Okay, if we have weapons, better weapons than them, then you defeat them and they will go scuttling away like the rats they are back to Europe. But with the British, it's a bit different. They pretend to smile at us. They say, "Oh, we come here in peace. We want to trade with you. We are not coming to disturb your administrative powers or whatever. But in return, for certain favors, please let us do this." So the British were much sneakier. Okay. And ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. After about, I guess, after several years, the British was in control of the whole of the peninsula. Okay. Well, the states, the Malay states. Okay, I think there were 6, 7, or 8 or 9 Malay states. I don't recall. I mean, if I were to look it up, then I could probably look it up. But I just want to make this a very casual session. I don't want this to be a history lesson, right? So I just want to make it very short and sweet, okay, for everyone, so that you can understand. Okay. So basically, there were about 8 or 9 Malay states, and each of them had a British resident. Okay, a British resident is an official who allegedly advises the Sultan on various matters of state. Okay, I mean, the role is supposed to be advisory, but in reality, the British were the ones who were the true administrators of the state. Okay, administrators of the state. Okay, they were the ones who were actually in control. The Sultan is there as a figurehead. Okay, nothing more than that. But the British were too cowardly to bring down the Sultans. Why? Because they know that if they were to bring down the Sultans, it will cause chaos and havoc among the Malaysians, among the Malays. Because the Malays respect and love the Sultans. Okay. So if the Sultans were to be brought down, there's going to be a huge war, and the British cannot afford to have, instability in the region. Okay. So so we had British residents in every single Malay state. So the Malay states were split into two. Okay, two types. I mean, one is the what we call the unified Malay states, and another one is the other states type of Malay states is the ununified Malay states. Okay, so negeri-negeri Melayu bersekutu and negeri-negeri Melayu tidak bersekutu. Okay, so the ones which were tidak bersekutu or not unified, they were a bit more independent. Okay, the British resident being there was just in an advisory role. That being said, the resident still has a certain degree of influence anyway over the Sultan, even though the Sultan has more control than his brother sultans in the other states, which is negeri-negeri Melayu Bersekutu, or the unified Malay states. There, the administration of the British were a bit more obvious in terms of control and influence, and the Sultan couldn't do anything. Okay, right. So this takes place like around the 1900s. Okay, and during this time was when my first ancestor came to the peninsula. Okay, because before that my ancestor was in what we now know as Indonesia. So in the early 1900s, that was when my ancestor came here to the peninsula, to Johor. Okay, so okay, before I continue again, let me read the comments. This starting topic. Yep. Thank you, brother. Sonok tengok brother tengok dengar Okay. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Alright. Oh yes, thank you very much. Oh, that will be a different stream, by the way. That's going to be a different topic. But anyway, thanks for the congratulations, and I'm going to make a post debate analysis later, but not today, because today is our Independence Day. Yeah, Merdeka. Okay, Merdeka. So we're going to talk about Merdeka a lot. We're going to talk about Independence Day a lot today. Okay. So, Claire's here again. Whatever Western Islamophobes say, Islam conquered them, ask them whether the last 3 has been Christian who also fought World War One and Two. Yep, exactly. You see, that's the thing. When Apusi was pushing for the so-called Christian peace, I was actually laughing at him, because, I mean, come on, I'm from this region which has seen a lot of wars, prior to our independence. Okay, I mean, the Christians came here basically to kacau daun and menyebabkan pemusuhan. Okay, this is the nature of Christianity. Okay, to destroy and to demolish anything that the Muslims have built. Okay, this is their nature. Okay, and the history of my country and the countries in this region are the evidence for that. So, if you're going to say that Christianity is for love and for peace, I'll just say up yours, because we have the Dutch, we have the Portuguese, we have the British that came to this region, and we know very well who they are and what happened to us. So no, so nahi, it's not going to happen again, right? We are already independent from you. You can get lost from our region, and you will never be able to spread Christianity here. Okay, please don't even dream of trying to spread your Western secular liberalism and Christian influence in this region ever again, because it's not going to happen. Okay. And okay, going back to my history lesson. Okay, so was in the 1900s, right? So the British had already control of most of the Malay states, whether directly or indirectly. And then World War One happened. So it didn't affect much of British Malaya, but I think the British started to took more of our resources, because they had to fight a war in Europe. Okay, so World War One to me, is more like the Great War of Europe, because it didn't affect anyone in Asia. I mean, you Europeans were fighting a war thousands of kilometers away from us, and it doesn't even affect. It didn't even affect anyone in this region. Okay, it was only when World War II started, which is where things got tough. Okay, things get tough, and yeah, the Japanese were part of the Axis power. So the Japanese came here. The Japanese came to this region. They sent, of course, prior to the war, they have already sent their spies. Okay, they actually sent spies, and the British were too stupid to realize this. Okay, this was before World War War started, right? And then uh, around the same time when Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese began their invasion of British Malaya. Okay, by going through Kota Baru from the north, from the east coast and downwards towards Singapore, and they use bicycles to run through the peninsula and conquer every single city that they went past. And the poor British people, the poor British army, with all their might and all their mercenary battalions, the Sikhs and the Gurkhas, right? They have this in the peninsula. They couldn't do anything about the British. Sorry, they couldn't do anything about the Japanese invasion. Okay, I think this was when the Malays, the Malaysians. Well, we weren't called Malaysians at the time. We were called Malayans, right? So I think this was the time when Malayans realized that the British were not as powerful as they think they are, okay, or as we think they are, okay. So the Malays started to realize that the British cannot protect us, okay. It is only us that can protect ourselves, okay. So we were under 2 years of Japanese rule, because no thanks to the incompetency of the British army, okay, during World War II, okay. So so the Japanese rulers, of course, we all suffered. Okay, we all suffered throughout the war. The Japanese were not really very kind to us, even though we are both Asians, right? But they're not very kind to us. They mistreated us. They their apa ni their worldview, or their intention of controlling British Malaya, was basically to take our resources, to continue financing and to continue manufacturing their weapons of war against the Allied forces during World War II. So we were robbed. We were basically robbed of all our resources by the Japanese. Okay, so so there you go. 2 years of suffering under the Japanese rule during World War II. And then the loving and so kindly American soldiers, they dropped a nuke on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Let's not forget that it's not Muslims who dropped the nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, right. So boom, kaboom, a few 100,000 people died during Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the Japanese in British Malaya surrendered because of this. Okay, because they know that they can't continue the war any longer. And then the British came back to Malaya. So when the British came back to Malaya, they hatched a plan to colonize this country forever. They do not want to retain the, as I mentioned before, the Malay states under British residence in different states. They wanted to unify all the Malay states under one single British administration. Basically, it's just another name for colonialism. Okay, it's going to be directly administered from the British office in London. Okay, and they were going to call it Malayan Union, and the sultans basically were going to be stripped of power. So unfortunately for these stupid British morons, okay, for these British bastards, okay, the Malays woke up to this. They realized that the power and the influence of the sultans that they love will diminish, okay, and that the sanctity of Islam would too diminish and be threatened by these Christian bastards, these British bastards. So the Malays rose up and fought against the British. I mean, well, we didn't go to war with them. We didn't. There was no fighting on that scale. It's just that we go on the streets and we protested, and we protested loudly. Okay, and we conducted we conducted hustles, and we conducted boycotts, a lot of things. Okay, so the British could not sustain. As I mentioned before, the British before that particular idea for Malayan Union, the British before that knew that they need to keep the country, the region stable, this particular peninsula stable, so that they can take our resources, okay, without any disturbances. So the British officials that came after this group of people did not know this. I mean, they don't care about this, right? The idiot, the moron, by the way, who proposed for the Malayan Union was this guy called Harold Mike Michael. Okay, Harold Mike Michael, if I'm not mistaken. This is the same guy who proposed for the split of Palestine into Jewish Palestine and Arab Palestine. Okay, so no surprise there. This by the way, this was in this protest against Malayan Union was in the 40s. Okay, 1940s, around the same time when the Palestinian issue came up as well. Okay, and this Harold Michael, this bastard, was the one who proposed for Malayan Union. Okay, so unfortunately, it didn't work with us. Okay, I mean, it worked with the. Unfortunately, it worked with the partition of Palestine, right? But it did not work with us to impose Malayan Union upon the Muslims here. So we fought back. We protested. We made a lot of noise. We caused disturbances. We rejected any trade with the British. We boycotted all British dealings with the British. It was a mass movement. Okay, so in the end, the British could only continue administrating the peninsula under Malayan Union for only about a year plus. Okay, about a year plus before they decided to, okay, let's just abandon this idea of Malayan Union and replace it with the Federation of Malaya. So that's what they did. They replaced it with the idea for the Federation of Malaya, and one of the largest Malay Muslim parties at the time, which is UMNO, okay, the United Malays National Organization. Its leader, Tunku Abdul Rahman, was elected as the first chief minister of Malaya. Okay, the Federation of Malaya. Okay, by the way, keep in mind that the Federation of Malaya was not independent yet. This was in early 50s, 1950s. And then as we administered the state under this concept of the Federation of Malaya, the idea for independence started to appear in our minds. So the cry of Hidup Melayu, or long live the Malays, changed to Hidup Merdeka, or Merdeka, which is the Malay word for independence. So basically the movement to regain our dignity as Muslims, to get rid of Malayan Union, changed to an idea or the movement for gaining independence from British rule. So that was what happened. And in the 50s, in the early 50s, it was not obvious yet. But towards the end of the 50s, 1953 to 57, there was a lot of, there was a lot of processes towards independence. And in 1956, the Tunku, with his ministers, some of his ministers from various races in Malaysia, they went to London and negotiated with the British office for independence. And the British had no choice but to accept the idea for for an independent Malaya. So the British agreed to give Malaya, okay, to give Malaya independence by 1957, and then the date was set for August 31st. So between 1956 to 1957, a lot of processes took place, and yeah, and then on the day of 31st August 1957, Malaya declared independence from the British, and here we are today, 65 years later. So there ends my tale for now. Okay, I mean, of course, it doesn't sound as easy as it sounds. Okay, but that's pretty much it. And a lot of things happen after that, but I'll just leave it for another time. Okay, that's not the point of me doing this live stream. Okay, so let me see now. A lot of comments here. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Yes. Okay. So let me see now. There's a lot of fighting here. I mean, Alika and Claire, if you guys want to duke it out, please do it elsewhere. I don't know why, Alika, why you're so frustrated with Claire. I mean, what's your problem anyway? I thought you were supposed to be for free speech and everything. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Yes, thank you for being here, brother. Okay, terima kasih kerana berada di sini. So, I guess I end my tale for now regarding the history of Malaya. And the formation of Malaysia is a different story. I guess I will do that on 16 September. Okay, so Malaysia is quite unique because in Malaysia we have two national days. So the first national day is 31st August, which is today, the independence of British Malaya from the British. And the second national date is 16 September, which is the formation of Malaysia, which includes Malaya, Singapore, Sabah, and Sarawak. Of course, eventually we kicked out Singapore for many reasons, but this was how Malaysia was formed. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess my tale ends here, and I'm open to any questions from you, my audience, before I end the show. And there are 6 people right now watching this. Wow, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for joining me in this live stream. So I was just telling everyone about my country's pathway to independence, and how this country, my great country, achieved its independence from the British. And yeah, so anyway, I'll take the opportunity to mention some things regarding the debate I had with Apusi. So I'm actually planning to cut out more clips from the debate, because I'm not going to upload. By the way, I'm not going to upload the whole debate on this channel, because this channel, the Muslim Apologist, is meant to be focused on Christianity and Judaism, and I don't want to mix it up with atheist crap, so to speak, because Apusi claims to be an atheist. Although, as I've mentioned, if you have watched my previous live streams, I have casted doubt upon that, and I personally don't believe that Apusi is an atheist. Okay, I don't believe that. Okay, but in any case, let's just for the sake of the argument, let's just take that at face value. So since he claims to be an atheist, it doesn't make any sense for me to have the whole debate on this channel, because this channel is meant to be a Judeo-Christian critique, okay, from an Islamic viewpoint, and I don't want to mix it with atheistic stuff. But that being said, some of the arguments that he made, like for example, the issue of Yahweh, the issue of jizya, the issue of war and violence in Islam, the issue of the Prophet marrying Aisha when she was 6 years old and consummated their marriage when she was 9, these issues are common across the board. I mean, not just atheists, but Christians use this all the time. And in fact, this polemics originally came from the Christians. So what I'm planning to do is that I'm going to cut out these parts where I talked about it at length and I refuted the bastard, and I'm going to upload it here. Okay, I'm going to slowly upload it here. All right. So yeah, so that is my plan. Okay, and in the hopes that if Christians were to repeat this lie, all I needed to do is just simply point them to my excerpts of the debate I had with Apusi, where the same argument is repeated. Okay, like for example, the video clip, the clip that I uploaded in this very channel regarding the miswak, right? The Surah Anis. I can't find my miswak, by the way. I don't know where I put my miswak. Sorry, my back scratcher, which Apusi is so afraid of. So I have a video of this incident where I talked about during the debate, where where I talked at length about the miswak being used as part of the so-called wife beating in Surah An-Nisa verse 34, right? So so that is an example of how I intend to use such clips as a part of my refutation against Christianity, because Christians love to repeat all these lies. Okay. So anyway, let me see now. Happy Independence Day, bro. Thank you, Aki. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan. Yes, thank you, Aki. Thank you very much. By the way, Mr. Stranger, where are you from? Do let me know. Right? Okay. Let me see now. I am pleased they don't murder or colonize anyone like the examples you bring up. Sweden. Oh, Sweden is a colonialist country, by the way. Yeah, I mean, Sweden never colonized any of the countries in Southeast Asia, but they went to Africa. Yeah, they colonized certain regions of Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I mean, all these Western European powers are all colonialists, okay, and hypocrites, okay. They use violence to achieve their objectives. Okay. Don't be fooled by the Europeans who claim that they're for peace and they're for love and all that BS. Because look at their history, their bloody history, and they even fight among themselves. I mean, the Dutch were at war with the Portuguese were at war with Spain. Spain was at war with the French were at war with the English were at war with the rest of Europe. All wars. Europeans are bloody, merciless bastards. All of you are, okay? All of you don't deserve to come to this region, okay? You bastards should just get lost from this region. And I'm thankful that, we, the Muslims here in Malaysia, especially in Malaya, managed to kick out the British colonialists, from this country. And we are in celebration of that, okay? Right. So, Alhamdulillah. Anyway, yeah, I guess I might just need to wrap this up, and I'm hopeful that for the future, I hope that inshallah in the future Islam will reign supreme throughout the lands, and in Malaysia we have an apostasy problem, unfortunately, because of these Western colonialist bastards. Okay, they brought their liberalism into this region and caused a lot of problems. But with people like me, as I mentioned in my debate with Pussy, the reason why I exist, my raison d'etre for my existence, is to present Islam as it is and to refute lies from people like him. And he was I think he was shocked at my declaration. Basically, I was making a declaration of war against him and people the likes of him. Okay, so yeah, so I intend to fight against you. I will fight against the apostates. I will fight against the kuffar, and I will destroy you. I have a set of skills that I've acquired throughout my experience, and I intend to use them fully. And I will hunt you down. I will find you, and I will kill your ideology. And I will make sure that your ideology will never exist in Malaysia and in this region ever again. Wallahi, watawahi, wabillahi. And this is for me the essence of being independent, from being, for Merdeka. Okay. And yeah, before I end the stream, right? I'm going to just declare independence. Okay. So this was what the Tunku did during the Day of Independence. Basically, he shouted Merdeka 7 times. So Merdeka, 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 Merdeka. And with that, thank you for joining my live stream. I hope that you were at the very least entertained by my, monologue. Well, I hope that I will be able to do a post debate analysis of that debate with Apusi. Oh, I still cannot forget, the shame, the shame that it brought to him. I refuted every single point that he made. Unfortunately, there were some things that he said which I didn't address, but whatever I said outshadowed that. Okay, because he couldn't respond to any of the responses that I made. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm glad that today is the anniversary of the day we kicked out the British, and I hope that all other Muslim nations will have the same victory in kicking out their respective colonialists from their countries. Okay, and I'm not just talking about independent countries like Pakistan or Bangladesh or Nigeria, etc. Okay, I'm hoping that one day, inshallah, the Palestinians would be able to achieve the same freedoms that we in Malaysia have already achieved for the past 65 years, inshallah. So, oh yeah, walaikum salam, brother. Yes, I'm sorry, I just saw your message. I'm actually was going to wrap it up because I mean it's already almost 1 hour. But if you have anything to say, just leave your message in the chat. I can wait. I mean it's going to be about 3 minutes before I end the stream. How can I contact you, brother? If you go to the about page, you can find my email. Please use my email. All right. Okay. WhatsApp number, WhatsApp number, WhatsApp number, WhatsApp number. Yes, I have a WhatsApp number. I will leave it in. I will update after this live stream. I'm going to put my WhatsApp number in the about page. So just wait for about an hour or so while I update it. And once I've updated, you can use that number. Just check the page again, and you can use that number to WhatsApp me. Okay, inshallah, right? So yeah, I look forward to your message, inshallah. So yes, I forgot to mention that I actually have a dedicated WhatsApp number. It's actually in this phone, right? It's this very phone here. Okay, it's this very phone here which I use for the Muslim Apologist. And basically, for anything related to the Muslim Apologist, I will be using this number. I mean, I have several phones. I even have this. I have this. I use this for watching movies, okay, or music videos, okay, because I love Eminem. I have no problems with music, okay. This kuffar, they think that they want to lump me into the same box as Middle Easterners or or the Indian subcontinent Muslims or the Africans. But I'm sorry, I'm not any of them. Okay, I'm a Malaysian, okay, and I'm proud of it. Okay, so anyway, yes, there's 2 minutes left before I go. If you have any other questions, please do leave your comments in the box. I'll just wait here. Oh yeah, there's only 1 minute left, but yes, please do leave your comments in the comment section before I go. In any case, if you just join us, if you just join me and this live stream, please do, replay. I hope that after the stream, you will go back to the beginnings and play the, video again so that you don't miss anything I've said. Oh, there's 7 people right now. My God. Okay. At one point, it was actually 8 people. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, thank you very much for joining me. I'm not expecting anyone to join me, to be honest. So, wow, there's 8 people now. MashaAllah. Thank you very much for joining me in the celebration of my country's independence from the British colonialists. Okay. I know I might even upset my wife because my wife is half British, by the way. Her dad came to Singapore as a British soldier, and but converted to Islam, reverted to Islam, and married my mother-in-law. And yeah, I'm married to a half breed. Okay, and my son actually looks British. My son looks British. Okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, there is a part of my family which is actually British. Okay, I mean, I cannot, be too offensive to the British because even though the British did a lot of bad things to us here, the British also did many good things as well. And my family is also connected with the British. Well, my brother, my father-in-law was a Brit. Let's not forget that. And because of that, I cannot be too offensive to the Brits. And I love my fellow British relatives. I have a cousin, Gary, who's a Christian and living in Wales. Okay, I hope he's not watching this though. Okay, but I love him for what he is. I consider him to be a family member, even though he's Christian, but I accept him for what he is. Okay, and that's history, right? So regardless, it's still family, and the British is the British. The past is the past. All I would like to say is that I'm happy that that we are independent now. We have shaped Malaysia to what it is today. Because of Islam, we have become you know a respectable state, a respectable nation state. Malaysia is one of those emerging economic powers. You know, and yeah, I mean, Malaysia is on a good path. Okay, and it's all thanks to Islam. It's all thanks to what our forefathers, especially what the Tengku did for this country in gaining independence from the British. Okay. Right. So let me see now. Please, Daniel Kaju to refute April's. Okay. Thank you, Aki. Yes, but let's see how it goes. Right. By the way, if you want to contact me, please do later. Okay. So anyway, I guess this is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for joining my live stream. If you like my video, please do not forget to like this video. If you would like to share this video, please do share this video. And yeah, and I will be having a live stream regarding that post debate analysis with Apusi. Still enjoying the attention that he gave me, and basically I managed to smash the bastard. Okay, I mean, the guy didn't have any proper response to me anyway, so he didn't know what came for him. Okay, and I think now he does. But it's too late for him. Okay. But anyway, thank you for watching this. I hope that inshallah I'll see you again in a future live stream. It might be sooner than you think. And assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.